How does AutoCAD know where your objects are? Well, it uses a Cartesian coordinate system known as the User Coordinate Systems, or the UCS. When you turn AutoCAD on and open up a drawing, you might have noticed that there are two arrows that appear at the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. That's this guy right here. Now, this is the UCS icon. It's there to help you keep track of your coordinate system. Now, a lot of times, if you're only using 2D drafting techniques, you're not going to notice this so much. Now, if you've ever plotted points, though, on an XY graph or chart in math class, then you're probably very familiar with a coordinate system. AutoCAD's UCS is a fairly typical system. The numbers in the X coordinate represent numbers across the horizontal axis. That's, from left to right, represented by this bottom line there and the letter X. Now, the Y coordinates are for the vertical axes, represented by this, green line here and the letter Y. Now, there's also a third axis because AutoCAD is a 3D modeling system, and that's the Z axis. And that axis comes straight up at you out of your screen. That little box that's right there is the Z axis. Now, these three axes together create a 3D grid work for us to draw in. Let me kind of rotate my view here, and you can really see your X, Y, and Z axes right there. This is what they kind of look like. Now, I can get back to that pretty easy. Okay, now we're back in a 2D environment. Now, as you rotate your grid, as I just did, and like I'm going to show you again, you'll see that the UCS icon rotates accordingly. I'm doing this by holding down the Shift key and the scroll wheel all at the same time. And then I'm moving the mouse around left to right, up and down, and it kind of rotates about that vertice point. Now, to get back, just type in the word plan, press return, and then W. That will return you to the world coordinate system. Now, every AutoCAD file comes with a default coordinate system called the world coordinate system. Each coordinate in AutoCAD along an axis is 1 unit long, whatever your units may be. As you move your mouse around, you can display the current coordinates for that point. Now, by default, AutoCAD doesn't come with this option turned on. So you'll need to go to your status bar customization button here in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, left-click it, and at the very top is a coordinates option. Select it to turn it on, and you'll see here that the coordinates are now on your screen. As I move my mouse around, my coordinates change. And the main vertice point of your UCS is at coordinates 0, 0, 0. So the number on the left, as with all standard Cartesian coordinate systems, is the value of that point on the x-axis, the horizontal axis. The number in the center is the value along the y-axis, or the vertical axis. And the third value is the z. So you can see I'm working in a 2D environment. I'm not moving in all three dimensions, so my z value stays at 0. So let's draw some lines here and find their coordinates. So just start the line command, type in the letter L, then enter, pick a point anywhere, and then pick a point for your second point. Start the line command again, pick a point, turn on your ortho projection. It's down here, or you can click the F8 button, and to the right, type in the letter 5 and then enter. Press return again. So now we have a couple of lines here, one that's at an angle, one that's a horizontal line 5 units long. So once you've drawn these lines, select any of them. So let's just select this line here. Now place your line on that blue box. It's called a grip. Kind of just snaps right to it. You see the coordinates down there. Those are the coordinates for that endpoint. Come down here. Boom, it snaps right to it. There are the coordinates on my right as well. Now you can see here that the y value stays the same and that the x value has a difference of 5 because it's a 5 unit long line. Now let's turn our snap and grid displays on. Our grid display is already on, but if it isn't, press the F7 key. That will toggle it off and on. So press the F7 so you can see the grid, and then press F9 to toggle the snap off and on. Or remember that you can come down to your status bar. If I click here, this button is for my snaps on or off. This is for the grid to turn it off and on. As you move your mouse around, the coordinates will change, and as you move to the right or up the screen, they increase. As you move left or down the screen, they decrease in value. Now, every coordinate system has an origin, and it's typically found at coordinates of 0, 0. AutoCAD works the same way. So as you can see, the closer I get to this center point here or vertex, the closer my values get to 0, 0. Now you can draw objects to a static coordinate point. For example, let's draw a line that starts at the origin and goes to coordinates 3, 4. So they're going to come out to somewhere around here-ish. We'll start the line command, type in 0, 0, press return. We're going to press F8 so that I don't have my ortho on anymore. And I want them to be at 3, 4. So now I type in 3, 4, press enter, I'm going to press enter again. So if I select this line and I look at these coordinate points, they're at 0, 0, 0. If I come up here, they're at coordinates 3, 4, 0, just as I wanted them to. Now, a lot of times you will ignore the Z value. If you don't type it in, it will default to a value of 0. So keep that in mind. Now, if you have dynamic input turned on and you want to type in those coordinates, start the line command, type in 0, 0, and that draws the line to wherever you want it to go to. Or you can type in 4, and if you hit tab, you can go into an exact angle, which is not what I want to do. I want to go to exact coordinates. But you can go to exact coordinates, or you can go to length and an angle. We'll talk about drawing at an angle a little bit later on. But just keep that in mind. When you work with the dynamic input or work with the command line, you input the coordinates in essentially the same way.